Hello everyone, welcome to episode 2 of the Ditto project. I'm Amina.
I'm Yajita.
Yes, and we're back with episode 2. People actually liked episode 1.
Which is crazy.
That's insane.
You all are absolutely amazing. Some of the greatest people ever, literally, because there hasn't been a drop-off point.
Yeah.
Like since before we put out episode 1,
exactly,
up until now, you all have just been absolutely amazing.
Yeah, no, seriously, we appreciate all the support, all the feedback. Literally, I've been so ready to shoot episode 2, so finally we're here. So today's topic, maybe like 2 weeks ago, it was before we dropped episode 1, we asked just kind of what things that you all wanted to hear about, what content you wanted to see, and we had literally dozens of answers. But one of the themes that was kind of recurring was friendship, obviously. And that is what today's episode is about. It's about friendship. Specifically, shout out to Danielle because she gave us this topic. She said that she wanted to hear about navigating close relationships and friendships when your lives are really different, spiritually, financially, and things like that. It's kind of when the circumstances of each individual's lives are different, but you two are so close. So that's what we'll talk about today.
I feel like, again, shout out to Danielle for the question. There were a couple of other people who said similar questions about talking about friendship. I feel like I realized from last video I was saying meaty and juicy and everything a lot. Amina got on me about that, so I'm not gonna say meaty, but friendship is such a complex, that's a better word, using my big words. It's such a complex topic, and I think that, you know, we have a lot of experience. We've been friends for a very long time, and so I think the question about navigating friendships when things change really speaks to, I mean, it could be relevant to short-term friendships, like you could have a friendship for a month or something and then things change, but I think it really speaks to long-term friendships. And I think navigating stuff is just so hard for everybody, any relationship, truthfully, not just friendship. So I think maybe we should start off with maybe some of our experiences about like how we've navigated things.
Yeah, definitely. I think, like you said, it's definitely relevant, especially for long-term friendships, because I feel like with new friends, you probably met because you have similar circumstances. You kind of met because you're in a similar circle or similar job, or you met in wherever your house of worship is or things like that. So it's probably less relevant because you have more commonalities. But with long-term friendships, it's like the point that brought you all together when you were younger might not still be relevant to the point that you all are friends now, or the stage that you're in now. So I feel like for me, me and you, we've been friends for 10 years.
A decade.
Yeah, literally a decade. I have friends who I've been friends with longer, literally since birth. I have friends that I did not get close with. I would say all of my closest friends are people that I've been close with for like Yajita around 10 years or so, or people that I met around like college graduation or got close to senior year of college. I think for me, it's been easier to maintain friendships when we're in a similar space, but I'm a firm believer of like, if you want something to work, you'll make it work. And if you don't want it to work, you're gonna find any reason to like not make it work. So I feel like me and you, we've been able to maintain our friendship. There were times in our lives where we were in different points spiritually. I feel like kind of like financially and life stage, it's kind of always been similar. Like we're in the same graduating class, we work at the same company, all of these different types of things. But I think there was a point in college where we were kind of on different pages spiritually. And how do we navigate that? I feel like you gave me the space to talk about what I was going through. You just kind of listened, even though you may not have necessarily agreed. And it was just like, I could talk about it, but we didn't go too much in depth. I feel like the commonalities between us, it wasn't a focus on like our spiritual lives, because we didn't really have that in common at the time. It was just a stage, you know, just learning and navigating different things. But that was, we got over it because we're kind of in a similar space again now.
But you know, I think what really, which is something my mom has told me countless times, anytime I go to her about an issue that I'm having with a friend, she gives the same advice. And sometimes I take it, sometimes I don't. But I think really during that time, what made it very easy for me is that to like engage but also simultaneously disengage with your friend. Like, I think it's a fact of life that there's going to be points where you all are not seeing eye to eye. There's going to be things that you all are not seeing eye to eye on, and it's not my personal mission to change the course of your life. And I think actually, I think that's a problem that people have in any relationship, but specifically friendships, because people see it as, yes, your friend is an extension of yourself. Yes, you want your friend to be synced and locked in with you, you know, but you want to control your friend's life. Like, that's really what the bottom line is, because I feel like you only would feel like, oh, things are so drastically different and it's really impacting me if you have this expectation of how your friend should lead their life. And it's not so much that you shouldn't have expectations of your friend, but it's like, dad, y'all gonna have a difference of opinion. And so in those moments, I find that if it's something that overwhelmingly large to you, where it's like, okay, you all the way on page 35 and I'm over here, then I think disengage with that particular thing, you know? Like, you don't have to, oh my gosh, your spiritual beliefs are just so important to me, not to disregard them. You should engage with them and you should, you know, care about their ideas, but okay, you all have a difference of spiritual belief. Now let's focus on either the commonalities in that or something else.
Heavy on that. I definitely agree. I feel like you have to focus on the commonalities if you want the relationship to work. And I feel like it's unrealistic to expect you and your friend, especially as you get older, to always be in tandem. Every aspect of your lives are the same. I don't know. I feel like, honestly, I'm thinking about the people in my circle, like, who are closest to me, like maybe the 5 or 6, 7 people closest to me. And it's people of all different religions. It's people, you're married. I have other friends who are married. I have friends who are single. I have friends who don't want to hear the word marriage or anything like that. I have people who are still in college, people who are years into their career now, and they're all equally close to me. And I'm thinking about, like, how diverse my circle is. And it's like, the way that I bond with each person is that I'm focusing in on the commonalities, even though there are areas in which our lives are so drastically different. Now, I do think, to me, the breaking point might be, like, if someone's moral code is drastically different. Like, the way you live your life is just totally left field.
It doesn't align at all.
Because at that point, it's like, okay, when I'm around you, are you doing stuff that I'm, like, majorly uncomfortable with? Are you saying things that are, like, disrespectful to me and the people I'm around or something like that? That's when I feel like the difference is, that might be a breaking point. But honestly, to me, if your moral code, if we're aligned in that way and our values are similarly, the circumstances of our lives do not have to be the same for us to continue to be friends.
In your last comment, you just dropped so much, but I think the first thing I want to focus on is what you were saying, like, you kind of jetted through it, but about marriage. So from your perspective, and I can respond with mine, and this is, like, just so y'all know, this is an exclusive, because I don't even think we've talked about the differences in our lives for real. Ever since I got married, we've kind of, like, glazed over them, and we've seen some differences, but I don't think we've ever gotten into our feelings about it. So what do you feel like maybe from the rip differences? Because prior to being married, I wouldn't necessarily consider it a relationship, but you knew I was eventually going to get married, so let's say from engagement. What would you say, like, how was that as the friend? Did you have to navigate something particular during that time?
I feel like it wasn't, before you all got married, it wasn't really a thing. Like, I was just like, oh, hi, Landon. Sorry, that's her husband's name. But I was like, oh, hello. Like, he was around, but he wasn't around, obviously, as much as he is now, because you're married and you live together. So I think the biggest difference happened, like, after the wedding. Because that's when, I don't know, I just feel like that's when it just became so evident that you were married. I think the biggest things, because you always act the same, you're still the same Yajita, but you know, when it comes to me and Yajita, we like to go out, like, you know,
kick it,
dinner, we like to kick it, be in the streets, and I mean that in the most respectful way, obviously, but like, we like to go out and do things like almost every weekend or multiple times a week. And then I think it was like, once he was like, I'm married, it's like, oh, you have to split your time between me and him, because you're still young, right? It's not like you're married with 5 kids. So I think so it's like, you're still young, you want to still go out with me and have fun, and so I was like, oh, I miss my husband, my husband wants to see me. So I'm like, girl, I don't have no commitments. I'm ready to go out. Like, what are we doing?
You know that audio by JT? We live different. I don't have no kids.
I don't have no kids. No, literally.
You gotta go harder.
No, literally. So I feel like that's honestly been the biggest thing. But I feel like we navigated really well because, you know, I totally respect that. Like, my love language is quality time. I understand wanting to spend time with the ones you love and your husband. Obviously, that's going to be number one. So to me, I'm like, okay, cool. And I think we kind of had like a standing Friday date, me and you. Like, every Friday we would go to dinner. It kind of fell off, but we still see each other several times a week. So it's like, it's no concern. I feel like it would have been different if you were like, no, I don't have time for you anymore. I'm going to be snuggled up on my man 24/7. And it just didn't feel that way. But I think it definitely was an adjustment because I'm like, oh, I actually do have to be considerate about like how much I'm taking you away from like your home life.
Yeah, I think that's interesting because I feel like initially when we got married, I did do the opposite to the extreme. And what I mean by the opposite is, even though I was a newlywed, I was kind of like, is bros before anybody else. So it was kind of like, you know, me and my friends gonna always kick it, like, period. And that was one of the biggest things. I was like, I'm young and turned. I think I got married at 20. So I'm like, I'm 20 years old, you know, you knew when you met me I was 20, blah blah blah. So me and my friends gonna kick it. And we were kicking it a lot, truthfully, when I first got married. Even though I was married, it was like every weekend we was ripping and running, which I won't say was a bad thing. I definitely think in the long term that couldn't continue to go on. And personally, I feel like both of us have settled down a little bit. We're not that interested in going out all the time. But I feel like I did have to find a balance. So it was navigating friendship, but also navigating my relationship of like, okay, there has to be a healthy balance between, you know, oh, I'm always up under my man versus, oh, you know, I want to kick it with my friends. So I think navigating that balance, I'm just now, I feel like, getting to a good point for myself. But what I always wanted to be conscious of was never really bringing up that thing between you and my husband of like him feeling like you always with me, you know, always taking you somewhere, versus you feeling like, dang, you literally can't never hang out. like no. And you know, it's funny, I saw this on social media the other day where people were talking about who's more important, your friends or your man, or something like that. You know, people had a discussion all the time, which is a stupid discussion, truthfully, because the answer is clear, I hope. But anyways, no, people were having a discussion. So I was reading some of the comments, and basically I feel like, you know, it is a balance you have to strike. You can't just be like, I'm dissing all my friends for my man. You're not gonna be successful in life, like, as a woman. And I feel like we posted the thing on our quote of the day about it, where friendship is important. And I feel like that's something that people kind of don't get through their head, that like, yes, companionship and relationship is important. And I was saying, I hope y'all know, because you should pick your man. I'm not saying your man you met a month ago. I'm saying if this is your actual, y'all locked in for real, because this is your soulmate, your person for life. Not to say you should pick him over your friends, in the sense that like you should always choose him, but this person is the person you hope to be.
If it's your life partner,
literally your life partner.
Life partner. If you, that's your man, y'all been together 2 weeks, and you know, guys,
my man,
I'm sorry, I can't see you all anymore. I'm gonna want you, because you will lose all your friends that way.
Literally.
But I feel like it's different, like you said, like life partner versus something temporary, literally some random guy.
Because as soon as y'all break up, or as soon as y'all done, you back to your homies.
You're running to your friends.
Literally. So, the people you just dissed.
Literally. So I feel like that's something to take into consideration. Like you said, we feel like the answer is clear, but I feel like they're both so important, and you just have to, your husband or your life partner, your companion, and your friends serve different purposes. Totally different purposes. And you need them
especially
both.
Female friends. Yeah. And I think that's the thing. Like, so yes, you should pick your husband or your life partner over your friend, in the sense of they hold more importance in your life. However, your friend is very, very important. And I think what you'll notice when you let friendships decline, you're gonna become miserable. Like, it's not to say you need anybody. Like, of course you only need God, but it's like, friends are important. They bring something to you that a man cannot bring to you. And anybody who is in a long-term relationship know exactly what I'm talking about. It's certain times when you're like, okay, I can't do this anymore. Like, either I can't be in a house right now. I don't feel like going to, because men have a different way of thinking than women. You'll tell a man a story and he'll be like, pat you on the back, get over it. You'll tell a woman a story, she'll be like, girl, because why did the same thing happen to me? And you know, I'm going crazy here. And you just feel so seen in a way that men are not emotional creatures in that way. They're not going to be able to provide you with that. Or even quality time. They don't want to go to Noble and make up lifestyle stories and drink mocktails with you. They don't want to do that. That's not, and if you do, praise be to God. But the average man is not trying to do, because these are, they're not feminine or masculine by nature, but it's something that women tend to indulge in more. And you're going to be disappointed when you drag your husband, because this is a personal story, drag him for $100 tiny sushi, and he's like, what are we doing here? Like, women will indulge in that with you, men will not. So it's like, and even more than that, of course, you just need women and friends to nurture you, sisterhood to nurture you in life. So I feel like people, when it comes to the whole marriage thing, when it comes to any aspect of, oh, I'm taking on this new responsibility, people did stay friends, and it's weird to me. Like, they would, and then the other thing is, like, these people saw you through so much of life, like, especially long-term friends. Like, they've been with you since you was 12, and you dropping them for a man you met last week. What the heck?
Literally, your partner will learn so much about you because you have that intimate relationship in a way that your friends might not see, but your friends have still seen.
Literally,
your long-term friends, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years in some cases, and it's like, come on now, babe.
Let's be for real.
Let's literally be very for real. Have you ever felt like I made it hard for like you to like I made you pick or anything like that?
I don't think you've ever made me pick. I think there were certain scenarios where mentally I had to pick for myself, because it was like, I think it was one time we were supposed to go somewhere, like, what was it? I think it was like, it wasn't a concert. It was like a DJ set or something. Like,
oh, we were supposed to go to Soho House.
And so much was literally Soho House. I have never been in Soho House, and it was just the perfect time to do it. But so much was going on with my family, like, you know, people were sick, I was taking care of people, blah, 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 blah. And then Landis was just like, gee, this is not a good idea. Like, realistically, this is not a good idea. So the first left that it went was me and her were supposed to go to Soho House. Then Landis was like, Soho House by ourselves? And so I was like, can Landis come? Which I hate to do, because that's ugly. Nobody, it's friend time. Like, I don't have to drag my husband there with us. So then she was willing for him to come, but then so much was going on, and he was like, I just don't think this is a good idea. So in that moment, I was like, okay, listen to what my husband's saying, like, okay, or kick him with my friend. And it's Soho House, and it's my best friend. It was a hard decision. I did end up not going, but I think those type of moments happen, but not really like where I feel like you're doing anything or he's doing anything. It's just like I have to make a decision for myself.
And I feel like we've also tried to kind of like merge our friend groups and stuff like that, so we can do things that involve me and him at the same time. Not just me, our friends as well. So it's like everybody can be all together, because I'm cool with Landis. That's the bro. So I feel like we've done a good job of like, okay, so you don't have to pick, we'll all do stuff together. Like, so I feel like that's something we kind of been successful in.
Very supportive.
I try.
Okay, so I think marriage is something that we have successfully navigated. Career, we kind of talked about, like, we've kind of been at the same space.
We can talk about with other people, if it's like had any experiences with like other people who have different educational tracks or careers. Yajita and I both went to 4-year universities, not the same one, but we both went to 4-year universities. Now we both work at the same company, we're kind of in the same field, so we've kind of always just been on similar tracks. But I think, like I said, I have friends who are still in college, I have friends who didn't go to university, and I still feel like those are my homegirls. Like, literally, okay, we have other commonalities outside. I don't, people who make their whole personality, their career, their job, it's weird. It's really weird, because you associate your worth with a piece of paper, or you associate your worth with how much money you make. And that's not to say that you can't brag about your degree, because trust and believe, I am going to. But still, like, if that's all you get your worth from, and you're like, I can only surround myself with people who you got your masters and you're making 6 figures and this, and then you're people who may not make as much money as you, or they're still in school, they're still trying to figure it out. You gonna ditch them to the side just because somebody makes the same amount of money as you? Is weird.
No, and you know, that's crazy, because that has been something that I've been talking about for a little bit, like over the past couple of weeks. Because I think, well, 2 things. The first thing I think is that it's so easy, even though it's not a positive thing to do, it is so easy to do that, especially in this world, because money is not seen as what money really is. Money is a means to acquire things in life that you need and may want. Money is to pay your bills. Money is to feed yourself. Money is to get yourself clothes. Money is to take care of yourself, and then some things that you want. People have turned money, because of, you know, a capitalist society, into some status symbol. Like, because I could afford to be here, I'm so much better than this person. No, you're not. Like, you may have a bit more money, but it doesn't equate necessarily to happiness or success or anything. So because of that, people feel like, well, if I could get in, I'm gonna use Nobu as an example. If I can afford to go to Nobu, and my friend can afford to go to Nobu, me and her can't be friends. That's weird. That's weird. That's weird person activity, for real. Because did you always eat at Nobu?
Exactly.
Well, maybe eating before Nobu.
Remember where you came from.
Literally, like, you was eating Burger King. Like, literally. And you can, and then especially when you have a house or an apartment or anything, which I love that that's a part of Muslim culture. I'm just now embracing that side of like hosting things instead of going out. You can cook, can't you? Make a meal for your friend and sit at home and talk. Like, do something different, accommodate your friend, because it's like, it's, I don't know, it's not to say never enjoy nice things if you are in that tax bracket. You have other friends who probably in that tax bracket. Go somewhere with them. You don't, nobody is just doing rich people activity at all. Y'all not even rich. I'm not rich. None of us is rich. So you're not doing rich people activity. You're not on a yacht every day of your life. Like, you do some regular stuff sometimes. Invite your friends to the regular stuff. And if you got it like that, really, which is the gospel, bring your friend and pay for them. You can't be that rich if you can't pay for your friend. I'm sorry.
Literally. Put your friend on as well.
Literally.
Because you're trying to gatekeep these experiences that you think are exclusive. First of all, it's not really that exclusive.
Anybody can do it.
Anybody can do it, but your little head is getting big. And you think that you're just too good for the people who fell in love with you. Like, let's be for real. And I think, I don't know, it's such a superficial lens to operate from. It's such, you're staying on a surface level, because just because your friend does not have a degree or didn't go to school or is not working some grand 9-to-5 at Google, that does not mean they're not successful. Because I know some of my favorite people are like creatives, artists, and things like that. First of all, every creative or every artist is not broke. And that doesn't mean that y'all are not successful in your own arenas. But I think another thing to take into consideration is like, if you're on the other end of the spectrum, don't think that your friends have to make themselves smaller to make you comfortable. Nobody at any point should be making you like uncomfortable. Oh, I'm flexing on this. Obviously we just talked about that. But like, at the same time, be happy for your friend if they are successful in their field, if they did graduate, if they did get another degree. Because at the point that you're making your friend uncomfortable, like, dang, I don't want to share my successes because this person might not be in the same position, and that makes the friendship dynamic awkward. So I think on both sides, the friend who is quote unquote in a seemingly, and like I said, in a seemingly more successful position or has some more tangible accomplishments, they should be, you know, trying to make their friend comfortable, you know, accommodate the situation so that you all can still hang out and do things and find commonalities. But also, even if you know that you haven't been quote unquote as successful, still support your friend, because to me, one win is like a win for the whole team.
Everybody.
Like,
and I think with all of this, I think one of the major things is communication. You have to communicate with your friend, and you have to communicate about your feelings, because I think the death of any friendship is these changes are going to happen. It's no two people are on the same path in life. It's impossible. You're you, the other person is them. So changes are going to happen. You're not always going to be step we locked in all the way. So if there's this air of uncomfortability because there's a gap between you and your friend, speak on it. Like, you have to overcome that pride or that ego within yourself where you're like, well, I'm not gonna ever admit I feel a certain way, because it makes the friendship dynamic, like you said, it makes it weird, it makes it awkward. And I feel like, you know, something that I've experienced, sometimes I really have to be mindful of how I talk, because I think when you are privileged to some degree, whether that be financially, education-wise, community, socioeconomic status, anything, you sometimes get an air about yourself naturally. You're not trying to be arrogant, you're not trying to be boastful, you're not trying to be like, look at me and all my big money, look at me and my big brain, or anything like that. But you say things sometimes that can be problematic, and you're saying it flippantly off your tongue, but you don't realize, damn, my homie not really on that. And you know to yourself, well, I'm not talking about my homie, but your homie is like
looking at you sideways, like, what did you just say?
It's like
literally,
you got a head full of hair, you like, bald head people just can't relate. Your homie with no hair at all sitting there staring at you,
literally, be like, but I'm bald head.
Literally, like, what do you mean by that? So I think you do have to be conscious of it, and you should personally, you know, be hyper aware of, because it helps you, and this is what relationships are really for, to help you be a better person. Not saying if you can't say it around your homie, you probably really shouldn't be saying it in the first place. So it helps you to check yourself and say, man, how am I making the people around me feel? But I also think, so I'm saying it's wholly on that person who has the privilege and that dynamic, but also it's good to know that your friend loves you and would say something. Like, your friend wouldn't just be building animosity over time. Like, you said this one thing, check, I remember that. You said another thing, check, I remember that. Like, no, you should be saying like, gee, you just said broke people should never laugh, and I'm broke. Like, what did you mean by that? Like, were you trying to be funny, or because then you can say, dag, I was just being funny, quoting blah 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 blah. But you're right, I should be mine. You know, you can better yourself. But I feel like when people just sit there and brew in, because not saying when you're doing that, you was already bitter to begin with. You already felt some type of way about your friend and this gap forming, and instead of saying, man, I'm gonna use this as some type of inspiration, get in the field, do what I gotta do to get there, or even asking my friend, so what did you do? Is there any tips or anything you could give me? You know, I want to be put on this space, which is also your friend's responsibility to help you be put on. But instead of doing that, you're sitting, you're bitter, you're upset about it. So you wait for your friend to do any one weird thing to you. They say any flippant comment. Now you like, you feeling yourself. You think you better than somebody. No, like, if you would have just said something, we could have, you know, tackled this when it came up. So I feel like that's really important, being mindful, but also being communicative.
Yes, honestly. Communication, I swear, that will save every friendship, relationship, everything. Like, literally, because at the point, like you said, when you're sitting in animosity, your friend doesn't know that you feel some type of way about them. And then next thing you know, y'all blow up, and it's like, dang, G, like, I did not even know you were feeling this type of way.
Maybe bring your articles.
Literally.
The first time you did, the second time you did, the third time, it's like,
literally. And me, I feel like, I don't know, I just feel like if you love your friend and you value the friendship, that doesn't mean to say that the comment that they made was okay or anything like that, but it's like, assume the best in people. I feel like assume, if this is your friend, especially your close friend, assume the best and say, you know what, let's nip this in the bud right here, right now, so we can move forward. If people are just going through life and we don't know what's going on, and we don't know that the relationship is shifting and changing, or you're doing things to make people uncomfortable, what do you expect them to do? Like, literally. So I feel like you said, it comes to how you felt about that person from jump, because the gap is now going to be a thing that you can just charge everything to. Oh, you think you're better, you think you're this, and it's like, no. But I think you also talked about like putting your friends on. I think that's another thing that like I try to do in my friendship when the there's a quote-unquote gap or the circumstances are changing, especially educationally, financially. First of all, everybody's path is not the exact same. Everybody does not want a 9-to-5. Everybody doesn't want to be a creative. I mean, it's just so many different types of things. I asked them like, okay, what's the next step? What are you looking to do? Even I work a 9-to-5, but you might not want to work a 9-to-5. I know some creatives over here. I know some people in this area, and whatever it is that you're pursuing, now let me figure out how we can use our connections to work together so you can be more successful in your field. And I feel like you have to be, don't take that as like, oh, my friend looks down on me and da 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 da. Like, no, sometimes your friend genuinely wants to help you be successful.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I got all the answers, but
Right.
I might know a couple of people here. I might know some steps here.
Right.
And, you know, if we work together, now everybody's going to eat.
Right.
So,
yeah. But that takes, to be on the receiving end of that, that does take some development. And it takes, like, you know, you have to be the kind of person who can overcome emotion in that sense. Because I feel like the first thing that comes in people's mind is jealousy and envy. And I'm not saying this from like a privileged point of view. I have also been jealous of people before, maybe not necessarily my friends, but like jealousy is a real thing in life. So I feel like, you know, people, it takes a big person to say like, okay, you know, my friend is trying to put me onto an opportunity, and I'm gonna take this opportunity and I'm gonna thrive. But I think in that is true friendship, for real, for real.
Yeah.
I think something else I was reflecting on, I was listening to some words from the minister earlier, and I was thinking about really the success of any relationship, but definitely friendship, is love.
Yeah.
But genuine love. And I feel like we take this like cheap concept of love, like, this my homegirl. I love my homegirl. You know, we kick it. This is my ace boom coon. Or I love my man. I love this person. I love my mom. I love this person. But love is really tested when it's like those gritty moments.
Yes.
When the gap is forming. That's when love is tested. Because like I was saying, that's the easiest time for you to be like, she thinks she better than me. I don't like that this person doing this. Or for the other person to look down and be like, I really don't need to be around them, this, that, and the third. But love is supposed to supersede all of that. Like, love is really the most important thing, because I feel like, you know, love is supposed to supersede all. And I feel like, especially if you've been locked in with a person, you know, long term, or, you know, this is really your person, you've been best friends with them all of this time, that is a person that you chose in your life that you want to be around. So you just have to always remember, like, I need to treat this person with the respect, the love, and the care that they deserve as a person that's in my life. So
yeah, definitely. I feel like nowadays we treat each other like we're so disposable, and you're just quick. Now there are some crazy circumstances, and like, you're tweaking and there is no coming back from this. But I think really there's very few things that are not
come back from,
because think about you and how many times somebody has probably forgiven you. And you've had a chance to redeem yourself. But you're ready to just go on anything.
Everybody.
Like, this little gap is forming. Nah, I'm done.
And
real.
you know, it's really this movement that is in the air of solo dolo, and people are using the excuse of self-care as a mask for it. Any problem I have, any energy, I just protecting myself da, 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 da. I can't be around. Okay, yes, I 100% protect, set up boundaries, live a healthy girl life.
Absolutely
love that, but be for real. Like, it's no life without any difficulty.
Exactly.
Your friend is not always gonna agree with everything you're saying, and y'all do not be talking about protect your life and it be like your friend actually doing something to you. It be you want to keep messing with a toxic man. Your friend say, girl, you should cut him off. Protecting my energy. Y'all praying on my downfall. What? We said cut that man off. He's crazy. Like, you know, it be very little things, and it's like, that's weird. Or even if it is something serious, like your friend, like you were saying, there was a point where our spirituality was different. But in that moment, how weird would it be to be like, she made a different choice in life. I'm protecting my energy. I don't want to be around nobody who's not listening to doing the same thing. Like, that's what type of, you should get some followers. The people on social media should be your only friends. Because that's not a friend for real. That's somebody who you want them to do what you say do. Follow. That's weird. Like, you need to, even if you are protecting yourself and practicing self-care, sometimes your friend is trying to protect you too. Instead of giving you good advice, but you like, any opposition to what I'm locked in on. And always, without fail, God works miraculously. You will cut off that friend a few months later, exactly what they said, or something will happen that'll make you know, dag, I shouldn't have did that in that situation. This person was probably telling me the truth. Or you just simply miss your friend. Like, so I just think, you know, in this world where it's like I could fend for myself, I can do everything by myself, you can't. You do need a friend.
Need community. We need community.
A support system.
You will not be able to survive on your own, and people are acting as if they can. No, you can't. I mean, ultimately you do
Only
solely rely on God. That's the only
but he gives you people.
But he gives us people, he gives us family, he gives us friends, he gives us community.
What is it a Bible verse that says I made you in tribes and communities or something like that? So he does give us people. And even the verse that I put, like for the quote, he said friendship is what I want you to have.
Exactly.
Like God didn't say only rely on me and nobody else, don't ever talk to nobody. That's some weird thing that people have made up now.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think the other thing that we kind of touched on in the beginning was like spirituality and moral codes. So when it comes to spirituality, to me, we do not have to be of the same religion to be friends, because now the exception is if you don't believe in God
at all, no higher being, no nothing, just vibes,
then I'm gonna look at you a little sideways. And realistically, the reason that probably wouldn't work for me personally is because
your code of ethics
your code of ethics, your morals are probably not going to be the same as mine. And then you also might be, my experiences with people who don't believe in God, and I'm not saying this is for everybody, but my experiences, they're very quick to insult people who do. And I feel like as a friendship, if you're like straight up atheist and you know that I'm devout to like my faith practice, we're probably going to clash. But I would say like half of my closest friend group are Christians, and I'm Muslim. I don't have any problem with that. My friends have visited my mosque. I visited my friends' churches, and I get something every time I go visit their spot, and they get something every time they come and visit the mosque. Like literally, and a common point for us is just the fact that we're striving in our spiritual journeys, period. It doesn't matter what that specific,
trying to get closer to God,
that specific spiritual or religion or faith practice is. It's the fact that, you know what, I love God, I'm trying to get closer to God, I'm trying to get better. And even though you go to the mosque or and I go to the church, that doesn't mean anything, because we're still on this journey together. And I feel like some of my friends who are in church, we've helped to keep each other accountable, because you know that I'm going to the mosque every Sunday. I'm checking in with you. Did you go to church this weekend? You know, what did you get? And when we meet up, we have stuff to talk about. We're both reading the Bible. Like, there are points of commonality. And, you know, also for me, if you have a faith practice, most likely your moral code, your moral values, we're going to be aligned.
I think that, too, also with the point of atheism. Well, I won't say there's nothing wrong with atheism, but okay, you're an atheist. I think where it comes into, for me, friendship, and this, again, friendship is not an acquaintance. Friendship is not just somebody you casually know. This is literally a connection between you and this person. I think that the success of any linking between two people in any regard is we accept that there's a third in this relationship. We accept that God is at the center of this, or some higher being is at the center of this. So we have somebody to tap in with when things start going awry. Like, if you don't believe there's a higher power, what are you going to when it's problems? Like, do you just trust your own intelligence solely to get you out of everything? And so I feel like that wouldn't necessarily align with me, because if me and Amina get into it right now, I'm confident, or at least I'm hoping to be confident in the fact that, okay, we taking this space, but I know she's reflecting, tapping in with God. I'm reflecting, tapping in with God. I'm asking God, okay, am I taking? Like, I'm not just going to my other friends like, hey, can you help me in this situation? I'm actually locked in with something higher than me to say, guide me in this situation. Which I feel like if you don't have that, what is guiding you in this situation? Like, I think that is one of the reasons why I think it would just be more difficult for me to be friends with someone in that way, because I'm confused on what is guiding you as a higher power. But it was something you were saying earlier. I think definitely, again, I have a lot of Christian friends also who I love very dearly, and I think it's because of that. Like, at the end of the day, we are striving towards a similar thing, and I know when this person is leading their life, they're leading it according to those codes that were established. And most monotheistic religions have similar principles and similar practices. I think, though, even if you are spiritual, I think there are still some baseline things that individuals do that I don't align myself with, you know. And I think friendship can make it through a lot, definitely. But I think that sometimes there is a true time when there does need to be a parting. Like, y'all need to separate, for real, for real. And for me, that's always when you are just going so far out the other way and no one can catch you. Like, you just like, I'm killing babies, burning down churches, stabbing people, I'm doing this, I'm being extreme. But it's like when you just really, you gone. It's not like, oh, I told a little white lie and then my friend can say,
listen, if you're a pathological liar, I'm sorry, we just will not be able to have a friendship. You're a thief, you're a cheater, like, come on.
And people do these things one off. Okay, you slipped up,
right?
But you constantly, this is who you're becoming as a person. And a friend will tell you along the way, like, hey, you didn't know about me, or you probably shouldn't be stealing, or you probably shouldn't be cheating, all of this. But at the point you just, I don't want to hear it. I'm living my life like a demon. I'm on villain, you know, like, okay, I think we need to part ways. Because being somebody's friend is a privilege. And you hold a certain level of power within them. Like, friends are very impactful and influential in your life. So you hold on to a friend too long that's not doing what you're doing, you're gonna be doing what they're doing very soon. Like, very soon. Because that's just the power that they have. They can pull you down with them. So at the point that, and again, I'm not saying in the sense of detached from everybody at all times, but at the point that you feel like your friend is literally dragging you down, like their level of activity is just so toxic and they're just, you know, unredeemable. You can't say nothing to them. Their mama can't say, nobody can talk to them. They're just doing wildness and don't want to change. You do have to separate yourself before you find yourself in a position that they're in, you know, which is not healthy for you.
Yeah, definitely. And honestly, I think that last point wraps it up well. It thinks of a quote. It makes me think of a quote from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. He said that the company you keep is so important to how high you rise or how low you fall. I hope that I'm quoting that exactly, but if not, we'll put it on the page. But the people who surround you can help you elevate and get to the next level. And not just, I'm not talking about just money and materialistic things, but help you spiritually, help you as a person grow and get better and evolve. Or they can be the reason that you stay down. Stay down morally, stay down financially, stay down spiritually, all of these different things. And it's like, that's why I appreciate our friendship so much, because it's not to say that our friendship has been perfect. It's not to say that we don't have ups and downs in our own individual journeys and things like that. But it's like we're consistently pushing each other to be better in every single area. And I feel like the more you surround yourself with people, and it doesn't mean everybody's always going to be in the exact same space. So you're not always everybody's not going to be making the same salary. Everybody's not going to be the same exact stage spiritually and things like that. Everybody's not going to be married or single at the same time. But if love is at the center, and if you genuinely want for like your sister, want for your brother what you want for yourself, and it's like, if you win, I want to be better, I want you to be better, you know, that's going to be able to help you all continue to just grow and do better, and you'll be able to stick around with each other through that journey.
Excellent point. Great point to wrap it up on. So thank you all so much for being with us for this episode. We hope that you enjoyed. We definitely had a lovely conversation. So please continue to check our social media for updates. This episode will be available on multiple different platforms, so check out.
I know we didn't have it at the end of the last episode, but now we're on Spotify, we're on Apple Podcasts. Of course, we have the YouTube if you want to sit here and look at us in our nice backdrop. But yeah, we are available on like nearly every platform. So continue to give us feedback and stuff in the DMs. We love it. So yes, and we'll be back in a few weeks with episode 3. Talk to you soon. Bye.